Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, your number one podcast for all things Assassin's Creed. Today's episode, we are taking a look at the world events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We're going to be offering our favourite ones and why I personally believe, I don't know if our guest will agree, but the world events are the great addition to Assassin's Creed and should be brought back again. As you did mention, we are joined by a guest. We are joined by Arsh from AC Landmarks.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
I had to drag him back because we haven't talked in a long time.
I know. I do miss you, Declan.
See, my show has that effect. Everybody misses me.
Oh, you're the best host, man. I love being here.
Thank you. So, before we do jump in and have a little natter about the world events, let's get the elephant in the room out the way. It's weird saying that, but this will contain spoilers. And technically, world events aren't really big. Oh my god, spoiler! But in the nature of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, not knowing about these world events beforehand kind of takes away the mystery. So I will warn you, there is a bit of spoiler, but by now, if you've sunk 190 hours into this game, you've probably found everyone in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the game has been out for like what, 5 months? I think you're maybe halfway through or like almost finishing the game.
5 months later, and I've just completed Essex with 3 more regions to do. This is what you get for only being able to play 2 hours a night and about 4 hours a week.
Oh, Essex was fun. For a historian, Essex was really fun.
I'm loving Essex, but we're off track again.
Yeah. All right. World events, everybody. World events.
So, should we? So before we, let's save our favourite ones to last, and let's just have a brief talk about the world events and how they're important to Assassin's Creed.
Yes. Let's talk about them.
So, I want to kick off by saying that I think the world events are critical for Assassin's Creed as an RPG because how Valhalla was built, we get 3 icons on a map: gold, blue, white. Everything else you have to explore. And world events are tied in with the blue mysteries, so they can be from world events to Daughters of Lyrion, I noticed one was blue, and altars. So you don't know where these world events are when you scoping the landscape, and that makes them fantastic because the side quests that you don't know are there, and when you find them, you're just like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah, exactly. And those world events are they're in all the worlds basically. You have them in Norway, England, I think Finland too. And you even have them in the myth worlds, uh just like as like an Easter egg and an homage to like history, mythology, and like you get to meet like these awesome figures. Like for example, you get to meet a squirrel in Jotunheim, and that squirrel has to do something with with the mythology of the Norse, and it's just so freaking amazing. I gotta research about that squirrel.
Most interesting topic: research about a squirrel.
Yeah, I think everybody will love them.
I think the squirrel's something to do with the tree of life.
Yeah, he's like uh I, I think he's like the messenger between the gods, and he goes around Yggdrasil, but where we see him, he's just like, standing in one place, ready to flight us, which was like one of my favorite world events of Valhalla.
Play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, live your Viking fantasy, and if you're bored, have a rap battle with a squirrel.
Yeah, just
That
talk to a squirrel.
That's fun.
You don't get to do that in a lot of games.
I think I do have. I think the other great thing, but I know that a lot of you have raised it as a vocal point that it's not good, is that these world events don't hold your hand. You've got to actually listen. And one of the greatest examples is in Vinland, as you pointed out, Arsh.
Hmm.
There's a Norse on the beach just chatting about going on a hunt and he's lost all his friends and he wants to go find this beast. And that's it. There's no quest start. You just hear him talk about that. And then as you explore the world, you see a woman trying to teach a turkey to fly, which was weird. And then you meet someone else along down the road. And when you go back to that camp, he then talks to you about how his hunting party's come back and they're going to go hunt a beast. And that was weird because that completed the world event, but I didn't know it was a world event. So,
Oh, oh, so you're saying that it just kind of like happened uh deliberately, instead of like, holding your hand and saying, okay, now do this and do that.
yeah, there was no. After he talked to me, wasn't like, my hunting party's missing. Go to this location on your map to talk to my hunting party and bring them back. He just talked about going for a legendary beast, and then as you explore the world, you find someone else, and that they do a separate world event, which was teach a turkey to fly and bring it back home. She goes back to the main area of Vinland on the port on the harbour, and once you do 2 or 3 and you go back, he's then wanting to do the next part of the world event, which is going a hunting party with his killer turkey, as I'm going to call it, because that thing actually does get in a fight with a cougar, which
Wow. I haven't played this world event. I'm pretty sure
it,
I'm gonna have fun with it.
it's really interesting because how it starts, it's not like a standard side quest. You don't go there and you talk through some dialogue and then you have to go, do something like a fetch quest. It just tells you something. You then explore the world. You do a separate world event, and it all ties in. The location of to start it is when you go to the port, turn left and go right to the end, and you'll see somebody just on a campfire, just one man, and you talk to him, and he just says some dialogue, and that's it. There's no instructions on how to complete it. You've just got to go off on your own,
Mm,
explore the Vinland yourself, and you'll suddenly trigger more parts to it that'll complete it. And then the end is you go find a creature to hunt.
that's so cool. Yeah, like I remember those type of world events where it doesn't hold your hand. It happened once to me when I don't know if you've played this world event, but it's in Leicestershire somewhere. It's called Dull and Duller.
Oh, is that the people that look like the Ragnarsons people?
Yeah, yes, yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, so they look like the Ragnarsons, and they're talking about like uh, burning a house down in preparation for like burning real houses down, but they don't have like the fire. And when I first played it, I thought just triggering the torch will get them to talk. And then I just like literally stood in front of them, which was so funny. It's like they're talking about fire when there's a torch right in front of them. and then and then I had to like point it towards the yarn house in order for them to talk. It's like, oh, look, there's a stranger with a fire. I'm like, yeah, I've been here for like 5 minutes. It
And
was so much fun.
that's the like side quests in games can be fun, and a lot of games have iconic side quests. But just triggering random things just happen. It makes the game feel alive and fresh, and sometimes it leads to some bizarre encounters. There's one in Gloucester, not Gloucester, Gloucestershire at the very beginning of the game,
Hmm.
and there's just a priest sitting on a chair spouting some nonsense about how he's now a Christian and we pagans can't move him. And you just basically break all his stuff and he's not bothered. And then you find a key and you see that he's been killing
Yeah.
people. And next you know, it's turned into a boss battle where he's fighting on you. And I'm like, why? How I did not know this was
Oh,
going to happen.
oh, dude, I remember this so vividly. Like, I was having like a spiritual battle within myself. It's like, should I continue like destroying this man's Christian heirlooms and stuff? And 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 yeah, like, I don't know. There are not a lot of games where they make you think of like, should I continue on or not? And then this was such a game that did that. um and like, the guy turned out to be a creep, thank God. But I remember being so conflicted, and I love it when like a small little part of a game does that to me. Like, that's amazing writing right there.
And I also think, and this is why I keep saying to people that I want the world events to come back. I think these are a great addition to Assassin's Creed and something a lot of RPGs should do because they make the character feel, in a way, human. You know, you're just walking down the road. Another example, which is completely unrelated, is you walk down one of the areas I can't remember. Some kid's screaming about his dad needs a wash, and your human instinct is to, hey, what's he screaming about? So you go and check it out as human instinct, and then that starts a world event where you're just trying to get someone to have a wash, essentially, and just
Yeah, you just pick them up and then put them in the water. Oh,
and
so cool.
it, it's just like it's that human side to the game. It's not like my dad needs a wash. Can you complete this checklist? Then go to the X area and do another checklist. That's monotonous in gameplay. This is more life. If you walk down the street and hear someone shouting, you investigate. It's what you would do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seemed so human. Like everything in this game like sounded so human to me, and it looks so human to me. Like, I love the option of like not be, not having tasks to do in like a side story, like a world event, and just doing the world event. um and sometimes it it gets you to think as well. Like, for example, I don't know if you encountered this girl that's like looking at a leaf and it's about to fall down.
I haven't found that one yet, no.
Okay, she's looking at a leaf, and it's the last leaf on the tree, and her father told her, if it's not like, as soon as this tree leaves go down, I'll be back. Um, and they'll continue their life. But the father has not returned, and she's looking at the leaf and saying, "No, leaf, don't go down, don't go down." And then I, as Eivor, have to come and comfort her in some sort of way, tell her to move on. And then there are like three compelling options of like how you can say that. And I was like literally conflicted of like, how do I tell this person nicely to move on and seek her own destiny, and don't 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 worry about your dad thing. Yeah, like it was like, I don't know. Um, it's it was very emotional to me because like I I remember being a kid myself, and like not growing up w- without a dad. Yeah, it hit differently to me, and I'm like, damn. which is why it's like my number one world event, basically.
And
Yeah.
I think this is what makes the world event so great. You know, the personal stories or quick little anecdotes that you just don't expect, you know, that make the game more fluid. It's not a checklist. And to try and put these some of these world events to checklist would take away that emotion and randomness. For example, one of the world events that sticks in my head the most and had me chuckling when it first happened is in Norway. I was cycling along, riding along, minding my business. Some guy was shouting on a cliff, and he asks you to throw all his possessions off the cliff to go to Valhalla. And at the very end, when you talk to him, he just throws himself off the cliff. It was odd, but imagine that if that quest was in a checklist. So throw 4 items off the cliff. You know, you're waiting for the next big climax to happen. On this one, after I threw all the possessions off, I never expected him to jump off a cliff.
Oh man.
It caught me by so much surprise. I chuckled to myself like, "Holy crud! What the hell happened?
Isn't
Why
it
did he throw himself?"
isn't it just like, life likes, like, it's unpredictable is what it is, because, like, it lets the choice be to you, like, uh you're the choice maker, but the characters themselves have their own choice to make sometimes, and you don't get to choose for them, but they, choose for themselves, and you have to live with what happens um to them, which is, yeah, it 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 captures the heart in a different, more uh like, realistic way.
So, as we can see, that these world events are impactful, and I want to see them continue. So, how about we share some of our favorite world events? And for this, I am going to include flighting and the Drangas, because even though the world events are little quests, they're still part of the mysteries that are just random. So
Mm.
I think we should talk about them as well as what made them more impactful, because some of these just you don't expect and they have a story of their own, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's your name? A couple of your favorite ones.
Okay, so I already talked about the little girl, the Dumb and the Dull and Duller, which are basically the Dumb and Dumber movie, made into a little story, and the squirrel. I'd say, uh, the remaining two that I had, uh, which is which is the first one is the Valhalla one, where, in Asgard, when you're Odin, um like, when Eivor is Odin, basically, you or Javi, I mean Javi. Javi is another name for Odin. Um you go to this, like, small world event, and you just talk to the, uh warrior, and you're sending them to Valhalla. You're accepting them into Valhalla, and I thought that was, like, such a grand moment to be a part of, because, like, uh people, throughout history, even in the Viking Age, have thought about this idea of, like, Odin accepting them into Valhalla, and in this you get to accept them into Valhalla itself, and I'm like, oh my god, what a short yet meaningful world event that was, man. Like, it, like, caught me. I had to, like, you know sit down with it a little bit. Yeah. um thing let's go one me and one you.
The one on top of my head that I can think of, that how do I word it? It kind of made me chuckle because the answer was so obvious. but the reason behind it wasn't, and that's there's a farm being plagued by rats, and as you come to the area, you see a ton of cats, and you also see like this woman who has tons of cats, and the farmers complain about all these rats eating the crops, and it could have given you a simple mission of kill X animals, but as you walk past, you're like, well, hang a minute. There's a crazy woman down the road with tons of cats. If I ask her for some of her cats, I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah, I
get
remember
rid of the
that.
rats. And it kind of stuck in my mind because I solved the problem before I got here, and the solution was just me going back, interacting with somebody to let the cats out. And it just kind of felt very human to do that. It wasn't a case of I'll find rats' nests and destroy them like you do in most RPGs. It was kind of ask somebody for a favour, and then the world keeps turning because the cats get a meal, and the farmer gets his crops back. It felt alive and genuine, so wasn't out of balance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember doing that, and I was literally in the middle of a mission in Granite-Shire, and uh, you know, you interact with this guy, and he's like, "Oh, the rats are eating all my crops," um, and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, I'm I'm just gonna go do this mission and then come back and see what's up over here." And then as I went back and the mission was not done yet, I had to go back to like another person. I saw I saw this lady with like the cats inside, and I did that mission, and the world event was done. I'm like, oh, so that was the problem. Yeah, so it came like full circle to me, and I was in the middle of a mission, and like that's so cool that you can do a mission, yet you can do a world event too. So yeah.
So, what's another world event that stuck in your mind then?
Um, I'd say, I mean, no, no, I mean, pun intended for this one. Um, Axe in the head.
Oh, yes. I know this one.
Yeah, Axe man. I think that guy, that guy was the first guy to get me 1,000 likes on Twitter. I remember putting putting on Twitter, I think 2020 in a picture, and then I saw that Axeman. Yeah, that was very funny, but it was it was so touching as well, man. Like, uh, here's a guy like on the brink of death, and you have to tell him, like there's an axe in your head, or you can lie to him, and then when you be honest with him, he's like, oh, thank you for your honesty, and I'm like, man, I don't want to kill you. Yeah, did you like that?
I love that one. That made me chuckle. Like, it was so ridiculous but heartwarming at the same time because you're like, huh? Why have you got an axe in your head? This is stupid. But when you talk to him, and I blatantly told him he had an axe in his head, I just felt sorry for the fella. I was like, oh, I like you. Can you get better so I can talk to you?
Yeah, yeah, it was really what like one of those moments where it made me so like wholesome inside. Yet like you know I I mourned his death basically. uh but yeah, I think credits to Elaine for for writing such an amazing world event. Yeah.
So I think the last one I can remember, I only did it recently, is I'm not very good with the locations, I do apologise, but there's a group of kids all talking about Fenrir, the wolves, and they're all wanting to
Mm.
play a big game of hide and seek. Now, I'm a dad of two, I really love a game of hide and seek with my kids, especially when I can jump out at them, but it just made me chuckle that you're just strolling along, not to do, and these kids invite you into this big weird game of hide and seek based around Fenrir the wolf, and it just made me chuckle that I could just like hide in a bush and there's no on-screen time, and I just sat there and watched this little kid run around searching for me. And then afterwards, if you don't get caught, you actually say you won the game of hide and seek, and I kind of felt proud. I was like, yeah, still got it. I can play hide and seek like a champ.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think I love hide and seek. I haven't gotten to that world event yet, but I have seen it. And it's and it's really quite like something. It has like like that childish factor into it of like I miss playing hide and seek. Of course, like nowadays I don't play hide and seek. Um, but like when I have kids, hopefully in the future, I'm gonna go back to it.
Just
Yeah, but I miss doing it with my friends.
just be one hide and seek with kids because it's a dangerous game. I'm 5'10", so I'm quite tall, and most of my
Oi.
locations I can't fit into them. I nearly like have to squeeze myself, and when the kids find me, they jump on me. So it's a very physical sport of once you get found, you get attacked. It's kind of not it's not fun. It's not this tap your it. It's like dive on dad and make sure we found him.
Oh man, so much fun, so much fun.
So this is all we've got time for today. But I believe it's clear to see that these world events offer Valhalla a human, realistic side to the game. You know, it's a game set in a Viking fantasy, and you do live this whole glorious battle to stay alive and settle in England. But these world events, each in their own, trigger mini stories that are more than just meaningful, they're just pleasant takeaway from how serious the game can be. And they're just mini stories that don't have any direction as in standard RPGs where you've got to do X tasks. They're just fluid and natural. And I hope to see more of them because having Ava just randomly find these world events and then she does the task for people, and then you get a real sense of gratitude because you're not just completing a checklist, has to be one of the greatest pieces of writing and game design.
It really is. I really hope Assassin's Creed like follows up on this world event. They did it in Paris Stories, and that was amazing. But in Valhalla, they just amped it up and had so many world events. That even when you're done playing the game, it's so much fun to go back and play those world events, and you can take them in one by one until Valhalla's next DLC comes out. Um, and hopefully it has more world events over there too, because I would love to have world events in Ireland and Paris, of course. Paris is going to be super awesome, and Ireland.
I agree. And just a quick one, just as a forewarning for everyone.
Mm.
At the very first starting area of the game, there is a world event with a guy. Don't do it. He is basically a reference to One Punch Man. I quickly warn you, and if you don't know who the One Punch Man is, it's an anime character who is so strong that he can basically one punch everything.
Mm.
I am power 260, and I have never beaten this guy in a one-on-one fist fight. He has a really strong punch. One punch, and the world event's over. So, forewarning,
Where
level
is
up.
this? I want to try it.
I'll send you the area of the Discord because I can't actually remember off the top of my head. I'll have to find it. But
Okay.
it's in the Starnet. I think it's called the Pummeler or something, and the kids joke about like he'll beat you with his pummel, and you take it on, and he's acting all sad about like another
That's so
person to
cool.
defeat. It is. I've not beaten him yet. Once one punch hits you, game over. It's hilarious. It's difficult. It's annoying.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna try it. But but yeah, um, think this this episode was fun to do with you.
And great to do you, and I'm hoping to do more spoiler things centered around the game soon, and I should be nearly completing the game, so be warned for a full story breakdown and my thoughts on all events coming soon.
Yeah, we should
Um,
have a spoiler talk about it. It's so cool.
won't say too much, but the spoiler talk in plan will be the biggest one we've done to date, so that's just
Hmm.
a little nod. So, thank you to Ash for joining.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to appear in an episode or have any ideas, then you always know to reach out to me on Twitter at AC Let's Talk or my email, Assassin's Creed Let's Talk. And I'll see you all next week. Oh, wait, no. My email's Assassin's Creed Let's Talk at gmail.com. Sorry about the error there. So, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Bye.